Good morning, Neshoba County, and good morning, Neshoba County Fair. It's good to be here today. My name is Dow Yoder. I'm running for the Mississippi Court of Appeals, District 3. I want to recognize my family out in the audience. I got my wife here today and my three boys, Colt, Carson, and Mike, and Melinda. Where are y'all? We'll raise those signs up. Thank y'all for coming today. I told people I'd have at least 5 people clapping for me this morning. If my wife and my boys showed up, I've got my mother and my brother here from Jones County. It is good to be back at the Neshoba County Fair. This is not my first time. I've been here just about every year since the early 1990s, and coming to the Neshoba County Fair is like coming home. I've got family here, and I count as family friends like John and Nancy Webb, who have always given us some cold water, and Pat Thomason, who is always good to feed you when you're hungry. And this time I got to stay with Charlie and Todd Farrell. They have been longtime friends of mine and have taken care of me and my family and given us a place to stay. We've made some new friends this year and got to visit with Amy Cockcroft Stewart and so many more people. I just thank all of you for your support and hospitality. I'm running for the Mississippi Court of Appeals because I believe Mississippi needs to be safer. Our communities need to be safer. And in the United States of America today, and in the state of Mississippi today, we wake up and we see the horror of humanity, where our law enforcement officers are targeted, and they're targeted in our communities, and they're shot like dogs on the street because apparently some people think that they don't get justice. And some people think that our justice system in the United States of America is not a just system. In Mississippi, we wake up every day, and it doesn't matter what community we live in, we wake up and we worry, will we be safe today? Will our families be safe when they go to the store? Will our children be safe when they go to school? And I'm running for the Mississippi Court of Appeals because I believe I can play a small part in making Mississippi a safer place to live. It's time to make Mississippi safe again, and it's time for our communities to be one again, and I know it can be done because for about the last 8 years as a prosecutor in Rankin and Madison County, I was able to work with local law enforcement. I prosecuted the terrorists of our community who would sell drugs to our children and poison our communities. I prosecuted the people who would take advantage of the elderly and exploit our vulnerable adults. I prosecuted the people who thought that they needed to exercise their so-called freedom of speech by shooting folks and stabbing folks. And we would have them arrested, and I'd work with our sheriff's department and men and women in law enforcement, and we would lay our ears back and prosecute them and put them where they need to be in the Mississippi Department of Corrections. Now, I say all that to say that our part of the problem that we've got is not going to be a problem that's going to be solved by our government. The government of the state of Mississippi is never going to be able to solve the problems of the heart of man. But government has a role. And as a prosecutor for the last 8 years, I have filled that role personally with our law enforcement. And by the way, if you don't mind, would you just join me in a moment of silence to honor the people in law enforcement who lay down their lives every day for us to keep us safe? If you would just join me in a moment of silence. By and large, enforcement officers in the state of Mississippi follow the golden rule. Our law enforcement officers serve, by and large, with the utmost dignity and professionalism and respect. And I'm proud of it, and I'm grateful for it. And I can tell you that I'm spending a little bit of time on law enforcement and on our criminal justice system because the Mississippi Court of Appeals handles about 80 to 85% of every single appeal that comes up from every chancery and circuit court in the state of Mississippi. Out of all the cases that the Mississippi Court of Appeals handles, the vast majority, almost 85% of the cases that the Court of Appeals handles are criminal cases. Folks, I'm going to tell you this morning, I'm the only person in this race who has been in the courtroom prosecuting criminals and who has shoe leather on the ground experience in our criminal justice system as a prosecutor. I think that's important. I think it is important to have a judge on the Mississippi Court of Appeals who has prosecuted felony criminal cases. Because after all, almost the majority, the vast majority, almost 90%, 85 to 90% of all the cases in the state of Mississippi that the Court of Appeals decides are criminal cases. What makes a good judge? What makes a good judge? How many people here today want to walk into a courtroom and know that the judge has already made up their mind and is already leaning to one side or another? How many folks today want a judge that makes their decisions based on political expediency? How many people today, whether you're here in this pavilion or whether you're listening to the radio in Philadelphia or in Columbus or in Laurel or Meridian, how many people today have the impression that you get just about as much justice as you can afford? And whether you get justice, it really depends on who you know more than what the truth is or what the law is or what the facts are. How many people today think that a good judge ought to put politics first? I hope none of you, because that's not what our founding fathers intended. We got plenty of politics in the executive branch of our state government. We've got plenty of politics in the legislative branch of our state government, and we do not need politics in the courtrooms of the state of Mississippi. A good judge is independent. A good judge is accountable to the people who put them there. A good judge exhibits qualities of humility and reticence. A good judge tempers justice with mercy. A good judge struggles with finding the right thing to do in any given case. I humbly ask for your vote for the Mississippi Court of Appeals because I want the honor of serving you and of being a fair judge and of treating other people the way I would want to be treated if I was a party to a case before the Mississippi Court of Appeals. If you want a judge on the Mississippi Court of Appeals who will put politics aside and who will respect you and the law and the golden rule, then I humbly and respectfully ask for your vote. Life's not fair, judges should be. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Dow. Our next speaker this morning is the Honorable Ed Hannah. Candidate for the Court of Appeals, District 3, Place 1 of the state of Mississippi.